G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. It is time again for another power rankings video today. Going to be ranking the teams after round 20. Always like doing this after every 5 rounds. Ladder started to take a little bit of shape. Some teams on the rise, hitting some really good form, and vice versa. So still a bit of a logjam for the top 8, but let's get into the power rankings, shall we? Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're going to enjoy, and let's get into it. Okay, so starting off in 18th position, not much of a surprise here. Going to be going with the West Coast Eagles in a huge losing streak. Interim coaches come in. Adam Simpson has departed the club, and it's a shame they've been pretty uncompetitive with a lot of these games the past few weeks. However, they were more competitive in their loss to the Dockers, which was totally understandable. It's a derby. They were meant to fire up. They were meant to play their grand final. They've had players like McGovern and 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐻 in and out the side. Just need to keep on donning some of those kids heading into the final 4 games of the season. And can they pinch a win? They do play North Melbourne one more time to finish off the year, so that is probably their greatest chance. In 17th place here, going to be going with the Richmond Tigers. Similar to the West Coast Eagles, they have lost their past 5 games. They've probably been a little bit more competitive in terms of scoreboard impact when in comparison to the Eagles. They were pretty good for 3 quarters, I'd say. Pushed Port Adelaide, and they were really good in the coalface against GWS, but yeah, off the back of a really disappointing defeat of the Pies, I won't be happy with that. Yeah, just their ball movement's been so inconsistent. Their link-up play has been a huge issue this year. They've had, obviously, the injuries all year long. Just a lot of young players have got spliced into that side defensively. They haven't been too great either. Tom Brown's move into the half-forward line has looked pretty decent the past few games, but should they keep on playing Noah Balta forward? I think he's probably a little bit better as a defender. So, yeah, got the Tigers in 17th. And in 16th here, to round out the bottom 3, going to go with North Melbourne. Oh, these bottom 3 placings are pretty straightforward, let's be real here. But for the Kangas, yeah, probably easily the more competitive, or the team that looks closest to be picking up a victory when looking at the bottom 3 sides. Getting that famous win for their footy club against the Suns gave them a lot of confidence for sure. Two steps forward, 1 step back with the loss against Sydney, but their past fortnight has been somewhat a little bit better, competitive against the Blues, and they were able to push the Cats up until, you'd say, 5 minutes until the 3/4 time siren. They've had some positivities though. Harry Sheezel continues to impress, surely pushing for his very first All-Australian selection. Cherry just keeps on competing so well on the ruck, being a very consistent player this year and a heavy improver. Jackson Archer as well, him as a small defender, he's taken some big steps this year too. Surely there could be one more win around the corner. They do play the Tigers this week. Let's see how that game goes. And to round out the bottom 4, in 15th place, just like their ladder position, going to be going with the Adelaide Crows. Off the back of probably their worst loss in years, to be frank, against the Hawks. What on earth happened after half-time? Just their intensity was honestly shocking. But prior to that game, to their credit, they've been able to pick up a few more wins in the wins columns, getting the win over the GWS. Contested game looked excellent. A bit of a more gallant defeat against Brisbane, and then 2 quality wins in a row against the Saints and also the Dons. Just been so inconsistent this year. Adelaide, their ball movement has been up and down. Their contested game looks good for 1 week, then the next week they just get smashed in those areas. At least after the bye, they've been able to play a few youngsters with the likes of Billy Dowling and Hugh Bond, and Zach Taylor had some quality games against St Kilda and Essendon especially. So still a pretty young side, the Crows, going to be pushing for a very good draft pick. So I've got them in 15th. And then in 14th position, one of the more disappointing teams the last 5 weeks or so. Going to have to be going with the Gold Coast Suns here. Just cannot win away from home, and finally picked up their first loss of the season at home, which, you know, not much shame in that. Losing to the Brisbane Lions, quality side, especially when you consider their form. But geez, the gap between their best and worst football is alarming. They're just a bit of a mentally weak side when you watch them play, especially away from home. They play with just such fearless play and such dominance when they are able to play up in the Gold Coast. They move the ball well. Their midfielders really contribute heavily. But then other games, they are just terrible with converting, inside 50s into scores, like the game against GWS. Probably the most infuriating game I watched the Suns play all year long. So, yeah, they're just up and down Gold Coast. Still a team learning, I feel. Still got some youngsters in there. It's Hardwick's first year at the club, but probably it's going to be no for finals in 2024. Still a slim chance, but it's hard to see. In 13th place, definitely going to be rising this team up in the power rankings. Going to be going with the Saints here. last 5 weeks has been better, winning 3 of their past 5. One of the upsets of the season, knock off the Swannies in just that electric second half, and then back-to-back wins. First time in, I think, 12 years since they've scored over 100 points and won by 60 plus. I think that was, I saw that online from Saints TV. Great channel, by the way. Yeah, he does some great stuff over there, Jake. But yeah, St Kilda, loving how they're finishing off the season. They're just playing with a lot more connection in their forward 50, something that we did not see at all at the start of the year. Cooper Sharman and Tim Membry have had some quality games as of late. Jack Steele, his past few rounds has been really impressive as an inside midfielder. So the link-up play and their transition and their ability to control the ball has definitely been positive with the Saints in the past few weeks. So got the Saints in 13th. Moving up into 12th, I am going with the Collingwood Football Club. We're able to finally bounce back after going 4 losses in a row. The first time under Craig McRae, that was with a win over the Tigers, but it is over a hapless Richmond. Let's remember, there looks like most of it has come out of that Collingwood balloon for 2024. Past 5 weeks, extremely disappointing. Their just energy and their intensity has gone completely out the window defensively all year long. Let's be honest, they've been purely exposed. Midfield, it feels like it's Dacos or bust. Forward of the ball, their link-up play has not been good enough. And I just feel a lot of teams this year have been able to go to homework when playing the Pies, block the corridor, don't allow them to move it with pace and get them off the turnovers. So Pies, it's still a big game coming up this week with Scott Pendlebury's 400th game against the Blues, and knowing the Pies, you can never write them off. There's certainly a chance this week and still a chance for the 8, but given their past few results as of late, got to be having to put the Pies in 12th. Then in 11th place, one of the big sliders in the Power Rankings video today. Gonna have to put Essendon here. Geez, what on earth has happened the past 5 weeks, must be said, after their really important win against the Pies, beating them in their own game of some quick ball movement. Past 3 games has been an absolute shocker. They had mistakes left, right and centre and just got belted off the turnover against Melbourne. A game where they just should not have lost, really, as they went down to the Crows, conceding the last 3 goals of the game. And now a loss against St Kilda. Is this now the end for the Dons? Is it another year of having just poor second half runs of the season? The start of this season, Essendon were actually a very good midfield group, though. I think top 4, one of the best clearance sides in the AFL. Their pressure was elite. Their ability to control the ball in the back half was very sound too, but that's just gone all out the window. Players out of form. What's happened to Stringer? What's happened to Archie Perkins? It feels like it's all Zach Merritt or bust. His numbers are still very productive, but not getting enough from their role players. Even Cole Langford's been terribly out of form. Just as a team, aren't playing well enough, and their intensity has been shocking, evident with their loss against the Saints. So that could be the nail in the coffin for their season. Still a chance for the 8. Got to bounce back this week against the Dockers. Got the Dons in 11th. Moving up into 10th, going to be going with Melbourne here. Just up and down, and that pretty much sums up their season as a whole. Have had some really sound wins. Then on the other side of the coin, they lose to Fremantle by a huge margin, where it probably was one of their worst defensive displays in quite some time when we're talking about a Melbourne side. Apart from that Fremantle loss, though, I feel like they have been a little bit better, especially when you consider the absence of Petrarca out for the rest of the year, and Max Gawn was down with a few games as well. I think their contested game and their turnover game has still been able to come up in patches throughout games, like it was in their win against Essendon. I thought they controlled ground position pretty well and started the game off extremely well against the Giants, but just faded out of that game. And that's been definitely a disappointment for Melbourne this year, fading out of games. But still, with the quality they possess, Stephen May and Jake Lever, excellent as a key defensive duo, still feel like they'll definitely cause a bit of havoc for teams competing and pushing up into the top 8. Still a chance, the Ds, but I've got them in 10th. Just outside the top 8, in 9th, I'm going with Port Adelaide here. It is difficult to fit all these teams in the top 8, so Port just miss out for now. I've definitely credit to Kenny's men with the last 5 weeks. I've picked up 4 wins, and yeah, I definitely feel like they've bounced back when we're talking about it of the players. Have they down tools? No, they do look really competitive still. They do look switched on, and they do look invested with their push towards finals. A statement winner was over the Western Bulldogs, where the midfielders were quality. Dropped that game against Gold Coast, and we thought, oh dear, Kenny's under the pump again. But yeah, back-to-back wins, getting back on the horse, and currently sitting in 7th position. But that was a statement win against the Blues on Friday Friday night. This is what Port Adelaide are very good at. When the going gets tough, when games need to be won, they dig deep, and that fourth quarter was outstanding with their pressure and their intensity and their ability to lock the ball in their forward half. They still got a quality midfield when they do get up and about. It wasn't really Connor Rozee and Zach Butters last week, but Ollie Wines, 𝐼𝐻𝐸, their plays, they can definitely make an impact. For the ball, they still have their issues with not much athleticism from the likes of Charlie Dixon, and Todd Marshall's gone down with injury, but JDOD, they can have issues with competing up in the air. But if they can bring their strengths to a tee, attack the corridor well, gain some dominance in that midfield, and they were one of the top forward half sides from last year, definitely are a chance to make the finals here. So I've currently got them in 9th. Now into the top 8. In 8th place, going to be going with the Hawks here. One of the more exciting teams in the competition to watch, that is safe to say. Now you could put them a little bit higher if we're talking about purely off form, but with my power rankings, I do like to structure them a little bit and not be too reactive with some teams, but they are looking like a finals quality side, and I'm pretty sure since round 12 they're a top 4 team. Just the aura they have, plays on high morale. I've been saying this for weeks on end. They look like they're having so much fun out there. Players are gelling together so well. It's looking like a very short rebuild. Defensively, they've been one of the top teams the last 6 weeks. I think 𝐓𝐴𝐷 and 𝐼𝐶𝐰 have been excellent, waxing off each other in the back half. The midfield has been dominant. Will Day, smooth move. I love watching him play. John Newcomb's been in there. 𝐻𝐻𝐷 always contributes. And for the ball, just so many contributors, especially at ground level. Jack Ginnivan, Nick Watson finally kicking straight. And as a team, just such a tough side. And they remind me of Collingwood of last year a little bit. Their ability to move it quick with haste, everybody involved, their energy is high, fast ball moving side. They play a finals quarterly style, and yeah, with the remaining fixtures, I don't think it matters who they play. They're just coming into any place in Australia and knocking over teams left, right and centre. They're still a young and experienced side, so might drop a game here or there, who knows. But yeah, the Hawks, love watching them play, and I've got them in 8th. In 7th position, I'm going to be going with the Geelong Cats here. They had a little bit of a scare in the mid-season, dropping all those games, but they've been able to get back on the horse and now in a good spot to push into the top 4. Past 5 games, they have won 4. They did lose that game against the Dogs by around 40 points or so, but the conditions didn't really suit them at all, and that is definitely the long-term issue, I think, for the Cats if we're talking about can they win the flag this year. The midfield probably still is a little bit of a concern, but still the quality they possess for the ball with Jeremy Cameron and Brad Close, Graham Myers, so many contributors, and on their day, they're just a classy outfit. They can definitely have some really strong link-up play forward of the ball. Behind the footy, Tom Stewart's been excellent. He's been able to move in the midfield, win plenty of contested ball, but also float behind the play when he likes and just read the play oh so well. And when they do win games of football, they are just a really good side on maintaining the pill in their forward half and converting well and punishing oppositions. So yeah, got the Cats in 7th. Definitely a chance to push up into the top 4 with some favourable fixtures to finish off their home and away season. In 6th place here, going to be going with the GWS Giants. In 5th place on the actual ladder currently and pushing up into a top 4 spot. Last 5 weeks, they dropped the game against the Crows. Really got belted in the contested game, but they've been able to get back on the horse and get back to their strengths of really high pressure and so many contributors for the ball and move the ball a lot better from their defensive half. The last 6 weeks, they're currently sitting second in the competition with points from defensive half. So I think Lachie Whitfield's been key with that, with their drive from half back. Tom Green's been excellent in the middle, racking up possessions week in, week out. Kieran Briggs has had some excellent games too, with his ability to win the ball and have a really good contested game and win plenty of clearances too. And how about Jesse Hogan? Such an unselfish player too. He's got great mitts, but always wanting to contribute and allow teammates to get goals off his good work. With the energy they play, they're one of the top pressure teams in the competition, I'm pretty sure, at the moment too. They're going to be a scary side coming in the finals and could definitely shock a few teams. So GWS in 6th place. In 5th place here, I'm going to be going with the Western Bulldogs. What a side they are at the moment. One of the more informed teams in the competition, especially off the back of a statement victory over the Swans in Sydney, winning that game, I think, around 40 points or something. But what's really improved the last 3 weeks especially is I think their midfield's been able to really dominate games well. It's not necessarily 𝐵𝗠𝗏 or bust. past. But we're seeing a lot more from career-best form from Adam Treloar. 42, I think it was 40 touches on the weekend. Ed Richards is smooth moving ability, and he can also hit targets really well inside 50. Liberatore just keeps on racking up possessions in and under. Tim English has been able to float behind the ball and take important intercept marks. Their key position stocks at both ends of the ground have been highly influential. Roy Lobb, what a move he's been. Ever since he's moved, or prior Roy Lobb moving into defence, I think the Dogs are like ranked 15th in defence, but nah, their intercepting game's been excellent. Liam Jones came back and had a lot of intercept marks. Buku, I'm loving his season. And for the ball, Jamal Ugahagan, I think the last 5 weeks has been one of the best players in the comp. I think he's got like 12 goals in 3 games. He has been a highly influential player with his not only his overhead marking, but just his general play. He's able to win contests at ground level, or there's a loose ball he can get on the end of it and kick some great snaps. The role players too, like Riley West, he's been able to bob up with a couple as well. We're seeing as well, their bottom 6 has heavily improved. They're just a side in great form. The midfield's been excellent. Both ends of the ground, their game is in check. And could they push for a potential premiership? Could they push up into the top 4? They're a game outside of the top 4, and they do have the second highest percentage in the comp. But loving what the Dogs are playing or putting together as of late, and I've got them in 5th. Now moving up into the top 4. In 4th here, I'm going to be going with the Blues. Now, I know if we're talking about power rankings from a form point of view solely, you'd probably have Carlton pushed down to 8th. The last 5 weeks has been a little bit concerning, but they still sit in 4th. I still think at their best they are a bloody solid side. Their ball movement, their turnover game, their dominance off stoppage is some of the best in the comp, but that's been eliminated the last month. Paddy Cripps and Sam Welch continue to rack up a lot of possessions, but they haven't been able to. Sides have been able to shut down Carlton's midfield collectively as a group, and when you shut down Carlton's midfield, from what we've been seeing, you can beat the Blues. It feels like this is the ultimate source that you need to beat the Blues at to win a game of footy, because when you look at the negatives of Carlton, their defensive transition has been poor. Their ground level game, I think, in their back 50 has not been good either. And from the last 5 weeks, the Blues have been the easiest side to score against from the stoppage. So can Carlton get back on the horse and display what they were able to do in the first half of the season with stoppage dominance and a lot of contributors as well forward of the ball, like 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 or like a Fantasia definitely helping out at ground level to assist the likes of Macca and 𝐼𝐻𝐭𝐞 and etc. Are we going to see that, or are they going to slip away? Because their position in the top 4 looks like it's in a bit of jeopardy if they don't get things fixed up. In 3rd place here, I'm going to be going with the Fremantle Dockers. They are now starting to hit form at the right time. It's all about the premiership runway. You're definitely going to be winning games left, right and centre after your bye, heading into finals, and they are looking like just such an exciting team to watch. And we've always praised Fremantle about the young core they have. I even said in the season predictions video, how far can their youngsters take them this year? It's looking like they're going to be playing top 4 football. Look at the plays they possess though when you really think about it. Hayden Young, Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong. It's like a dream midfield. Shaun Dux, Luke Jackson behind the ball. Josh Draper, he hasn't been as good as he was against the Swans, where he should have gotten the Rising Star nomination, but still an important part. They're without Alex Pearce, but Luke Ryan's still been great back there. They're just a highly cohesive group watching them play. And their ball movement, start of the year, and always when you talk about the negatives of Fremantle's like, they can't score, they can't move the ball really well, can't play modern footy, but just love watching their hand passing game from the back half, especially when they play at home. For the ball, I'm loving Josh Tracy's season, one of the more improved players in the competition. Just love his aggression when taking overhead marks. He's a big player and he is having an excellent year, kicking plenty of goals. So the Dockers hitting form at the right time, currently sitting in 3rd position on the ladder, and that's where I'm going to be placing them in the power rankings. In 2nd place here, I think we can all agree that this side deservedly should be dropped from their top spot position. It is the Sydney Swans. As a Sydney supporter, a little bit worried with how they have played the past 5 weeks now. They have dropped 4 out of their last 5. After the bye, the Swans haven't been as good as they were probably since round 10 with their win over Carlton. Their pressure has dropped off. Their ability to score from the back half and their ball movement has definitely dropped off. Even in the midfield, they've been a bit more of a beatable side too. And then defensive transition, they've been a lot more of an easier side to score against. And all the negatives came to the fore. with their loss against the Dogs. They couldn't hunt, they just got outdone. Another issue I'm finding is that their stars have dropped off a little bit. Nick Blake, he's become a bit of a liability in the air and also with his kicking. Errol Gordon as well, his foot skills letting him down. Chad Warner not getting as much impact on the scoreboard as he was. Isaac Heaney still doing the contested stuff well, but his impact forward to centre has definitely gone missing. Grundy's dropped off a little bit too, so when the stars drop off, the side drops off. So definitely some changes need to be made. They've had some injuries the past few weeks, the Swans, but they still sit on top of the ladder. You could put them low in your all-power rankings, but their best is the best in the competition when they can really get their pressure and their ball movement going. So can they fix things up? The Swans have a few tricky opponents the next few weeks, but should be able to bounce back on the horse because they probably couldn't have played much worse as they did against the Dogs, and should at least lock up a top 2 spot. But with the Power Rankings, got them in second, which leaves in first place deservedly. Got to be going with the Brisbane Lions here. What is it now? 6 in a row, 7 in a row. They are smashing it, and who'd have thunk it, eh? I think after round 8 or round 9, they were sitting in 13th place. Some pundits were saying Chris Fagan should be sacked, but they have definitely turned their season around. And I think you can always trust Brisbane for a side that can push up into the top 8 and definitely cause a bit of an impact in September. Given the list they have, they're still a list full of seasoned bodies, seasoned veterans. They've always been a very successful home and away season side, and they have some individuals that are in some sensational form after the bye. Lachie Neale and Josh Dunkley. Oscar McInerney, he's been an unsung hero too. His ability to win some important contests, win plenty of clearances out of the ruck, he's been excellent. For the ball, Logan Morris, it's dropped off a little bit, but you know, Joe Danaher always contributes. Eric Hipwood floated behind the ball with the absence of Harris Andrews in their win against the Suns. He looked okay. Loving Kai Lohmann's season, should be top 5 in the Rising Star. He's actually been able to be a bit of a match winner too. Dane Zorko, is he going to make the All-Australian? He's been excellent across halfback this year with the absence of Kitty Coleman with the ACL. Cam Raider the past few matches has been excellent as well, showing plenty of scoreboard impact and ability to break away from congestion. Zach Bailey hitting the goals as well. All their stars, all their important role players playing some excellent footy, and ever since the bye, their turnover game, their ability to punish sides off the turnover and also off stoppage has definitely been in the green. So I love how the Lions are playing. They're now probably, you say, the favourites for the flag. Got to be having them in first for the Power Rankings after round 20. So that does complete the Power Rankings after round 20 for the 2024 AFL season. Let me know some of your rankings down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? These are always videos that do spark a bit of debate, so I'd love to hear your opinions down below in the comments. Would you change a few sides? Definitely always open up to a bit of a chat down below. So hopefully you did enjoy today's video, everybody. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy. Always heavily appreciated. And until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.